Hello, welcome back to Madrona's Pulse Teachings. I am Iris, and we are talking about our astrology of the week ahead. Happy September. We're talking about September 1st through September 7th. This is a big week. This is our week pulling us into our Pisces total lunar eclipse. That's on the 7th, and we start out in a big way. On the 1st, we have Saturn re-entering Pisces in its retrograde journey. We also have Sedna and Uranus stationing retrograde this week. There is quite a bit of energy shifting, and all that energy shifting is bringing us into a total lunar eclipse. So it's a big week. Let's weave a little bit of a narrative here to hopefully support you. So I have a whole video on Saturn re-entering Pisces because this is a very big shift in the journey that has been underway in your sense of self, in restructuring your sense of self, in releasing and rebirthing. The Saturn has been journeying with Neptune, and now it's going to take a little bit of distance from Neptune, and it's going to go back to the 25th degree of Pisces. And then in the end of November, it will station direct. So from now until November, we are working with a deep release, a final release in this stage of structures of your sense of self that you have journeyed with for at least 30 years, probably more than that. We're talking about karmic release and rebirthing. It's very big energy. And working with Saturn and Pisces, feeling the energy shift this week, it is a very big difference to be in that primal fire of Aries, even with Saturn retrograde, than it is to be in Pisces. In Pisces, we are really surrendering the cognitive drive. We are releasing ourselves into the flow. We are listening to intuition and we are trusting intuition, especially around, those quiet moments that you carve out for yourself. This is a lovely week to carve out quiet moments in when you can really listen deeply and then potentially get some of the guidance, intuition from your soul, higher self, guides, nature, synchronicities around what you are releasing. Because this is eclipse week and Saturn just entered Pisces. So really paying attention to what wants to release, witnessing it, saying it out loud, holding ritual that just arrives. If you're on a walk and suddenly something's emerging and you're realizing that this is a shift and you are letting something go, burying, holding a leaf with that intention and burying it in the earth, or working with water, whatever arises for you. But these witchy practices are the way that we embody the archetypes with ourselves and release. And we are entering a season of release. It's also a season of rebirth, okay? And that's part of the intensity, is that we're working with both energies. So we start out this week with that shift of Saturn coming into Pisces. We also have Sedna station retrograde on the 1st. Sedna is conjunct Uranus, and Uranus is also stationing retrograde on September 5th. So they're both in Gemini at that 1st degree of Gemini. And so Sedna's stationing retrograde. She has been talking with all the outer planets. She has been a big part of the dynamic shifts and the paradigm dissolving and the rebirthing and everything that we've been talking about for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so just knowing that there is a shift in that Sedna stations retrograde and Uranus stations retrograde in Gemini. So this is also pulling back, that Uranus came into Gemini and it wants new thoughts, it wants new community, it wants new expression now, and it wants that in a very deep way that is potentially part of transforming paradigms in the very core of how you think about your own healing journey. That's what Sedna is bringing into this, in the personal. And they both station retrograde, and they both square a Mercury who enters Virgo this week. So on the 2nd, we have Mercury enter Virgo. And as Mercury enters Virgo, it comes into a square with Sedna and Uranus. Okay, so the beginning of this week, we've got some shifts in energy, and then that brings us into eclipse. But it's dynamic, and you want to ride the waves. And so with Mercury, firstly, Mercury enters Virgo, one of its home signs. Mercury in Virgo wants to be more methodical around its ideas, its expressions. It wants to really work with the body. When Mercury in Virgo is not working with the body, it is most likely spiraling into anxiety and creating all sorts of body dysregulation, digestive. It can play out in so many ways because Virgo is the sign of the mind body. We have so much going on with Virgo. We have our South Node conjunct the Sun this week in our eclipse in Virgo, and Mercury enters, which is also opening your ability to really hear what you're letting go of, to really hear and work with your body about what it needs right now. Not what it needs 6 months from now, not what the you who has been told what you should do or what this is really about being in the present moment this week. Listening to what your body needs this week. And as you're doing that, that Mercury comes into Virgo and it squares a Sedna who's just stationary retrograde and a Uranus who is about to be stationary retrograde. Now, this can be a little wonky. There can be some wires getting crossed. If wires are getting crossed in your communication with partners, friends, colleagues, you really just want to back off. This is not a week to dig in, especially with the square to Uranus. Now, what those squares can really do, however, is show us some breakthroughs. Some breakthroughs that we were not expecting. They absolutely can be changing direction. That Uranus is literally changing direction. And so Uranus came into Gemini from Taurus, and it wants to awaken radical insights. It wants new ways of thinking. It wants new, hopefully enlightened ways of working with media. We're going to see a lot of not enlightened ways working with media. It wants awakening in a very intensified, fast way. And now it's stationary retrograde. So we're feeling that this week. And as it's stationary retrograde, Mercury comes into Virgo and it squares that Uranus, which also, it's wonderful for journaling. Journal the heck out of this week. It is wonderful for journaling. It is wonderful for ideas coming through. There could be a little grit, a little tension around it. You want to work with that. You want to allow that. You want to be curious about the grit. Curious because it could be showing you something that is trying to birth itself into your consciousness. So really just allowing that Mercury, as it comes into Virgo, is also in an inconjunct with Neptune, and it's in an inconjunct with Pluto. So this is how we roll right now. We have these dynamic outer planet conversations talking with the personal planets when they're in close contact. The strongest is with that Gemini and that Sedna, that Uranus in Gemini and that Sedna. So it's a mouthful. And yet the Pluto and the Neptune heighten the importance of what could be coming through, and with the inconjuncts that really could be a dislodging of something that we're here to understand. And that carries us into eclipse season. And that Mercury moves ahead and it's conjunct the Sun. It's at 10 degrees. It's conjunct the Sun, who's going to be at 15 degrees when we get to our September 7th eclipse. So it is a week to pay attention to the messages that are arising from your body psyche. It is a week to do your yoga. It is a week to slow down, to go for the gentle walks. It is a week to listen deeply to the mind, body, psyche, spirit, because there could be a lot coming through. Okay. I also want to mention before I get to the eclipse, we also have on September 2nd, we have Venus opposite Athena. So Venus this is at 9 degrees of Leo, and Athena is at 9 degrees of Aquarius. This is a little bit of a standoff in that divine feminine energy within the self. And we want to listen to Athena and messages that she has for Venus. Okay. And Athena in Aquarius is higher mind, crystal clear insight. This is about your authentic self speaking and showing and potentially telling, kind of think of it as an older wise sister telling that Venus heart, because she's in Leo, about how she might need to step up to be a little bit more authentic around her values, around what she truly loves, around your needs, around how you want your values to go into your creative pursuits. Venus and Leo can get a little bit distracted by shiny things. She can get a little bit distracted and she can get pulled out of what her most authentic heart space wants. Athena in Aquarius won't really have that. So you want to just pay attention as we and this of course is working with all that Uranus and Mercury energy I was just talking about. So you just want to pay attention and be really honest. Virgo is also a sign that sometimes wants to demand honesty. And when Virgo isn't in a place to be honest with itself, it can get in a kind of vicious loop of creating situations that could be so wonderful, and yet it's really just not sitting with what it needs to sit with. So there could be quite a bit of what we need to sit with this week from all the shifts that we're moving through. And so just allowing. And then on the 5th, we will have Uranus station retrograde. So again, it's always the days before, the days after that those gears are really shifting, grinding. It heightens the archetypal resonance of Uranus within us, paying attention to your thoughts, paying attention to ideas that might be streaming in. If they're taking you off course, follow the imagination and see how it plays off course. Retrogrades are about going off course and discovering that going off course is actually how we find the new path forward. Okay. And also, this is about Gemini. This is ideas, expressions, projects you might have. It's also about your communities. It could be redirecting you into new communities. It could be showing you a way that community needs to maybe take a break from a certain community. However, it's working with you, just paying attention. And then we move into the end of the week. We have our eclipse. Now, I have a whole video on the eclipse, but it's important, there's a lot of energy building up into this eclipse, and it's a very powerful eclipse. We are going to have our moon in Pisces at 15 degrees conjunct the north node at 18 degrees. We're going to have our sun in Virgo conjunct the south node at 18 degrees. And then we're also going to have Mercury on the other side of that sun. So there's potentially a lot of messages coming through, remembering that, it's kind of heightened. Eclipse season is itself sometimes described as wild card energies. It is karmic threads. It is karmic plot lines weaving themselves with us and through us. Uranus is also wild card energy, and Uranus is very active this week. So there could be some plot twists. And if there are plot twists, we want to try and creatively roll with them. We want to have our creative flowing, it's like bring that artist into your life. Let life be your medium that you are creating with, and you're co-creating. And it is so important that we remember we are co-creating. This is what the Pisces surrender is about. The surrender is where we are flowing with universe, spirit, creator, nature, goddess. We are co-creating. We are releasing the illusion of control and being so brutally honest with what is actually here. And allow that honesty to fill you with love. This is the North Node. It is divine love. It is surrender. It is unconditional love and forgiveness and compassion. Yes, it's Pisces. It's also grief, and it's the void, and it's the depths of experiences. But the fact that Pisces holds all that, that's why it's just beautiful. And so allowing the experiences that emerge. And when we're working with eclipse energy, we are not in control. When we're working with lunar eclipse that's conjunct the North Node in Pisces, we are not in control. We are dancing with the divine. And so knowing that that energy is here, carrying us through all week as Uranus is stationing retrograde, as Mercury is squaring that Uranus, it could be huge breakthroughs that come through. It could be huge understandings. You also want to pay attention to dreams and the messages you're getting from dreams, animal guides who are appearing. I know there was a hummingbird dancing back and forth as I'm talking with you. Pay attention to those Piscean ways of knowing and making meaning, because that is where the magical co-creative life force is, and we are moving into it. So I am sending lots of love to you as you journey through your week, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.